Yeah, so before I hand over it to Mr. Hekmat, I would like to give you a small introduction about him. And also, I would like to welcome all of you to this webinar on strategic risk management, navigating complex risk in a changing world. So about a few words about Mr. Hekmat. Mr. Hekmat holds a master's degree in mechanical engineering and brings over 20 years of experience in training and education. He's a certified trainer and assessment specialist with expertise across a range of fields, including engineering program, risk management, and occupational health and safety. Mr. Hekmat is an approved trainer by several prestigious international awarding bodies such as NEBOSH, IOSH, Highfield, and City and Guilds. His commitment to quality education and practical training has made him a respected figure in both the academic and a professional training environment. So I'm handing over this to Mr. Hekmat, and please note that the participants are not allowed to unmute by yourself. You can ask any question to him by raising your hand, so he will unmute you. Alternatively, even you can use the chat, the Zoom chat, for the purpose of communication. So once again, welcome, Mr. Hekmat, and the dear participants.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you, Ms. Rino. I hope all doing well. Welcome to this session, strategic risk management, navigating complex risk in a changing world. Just briefly, some ground rules. Our session today will continue for about 1 hour. Please keep yourself muted. If you have any question, any doubt, any comment, you can drop it in the chat because at the last 10 to 15 minutes, we will have a session for discussion and maybe for question and answers. I will answer your questions at the last 10 to 15 minutes. So please keep the question and answers to the last stage, to the last part, to ensure a smooth presentation for all and to get the benefits as much as we can. So when we are saying risk management, so what do we mean by the word risk? What is risk? Please let me know in the chat as well if you are able to see my screen before starting. I think it's supposed to be available to you. It's visible to you, the screen. So when we are saying risk management, we have many questions here in this regard. What do we mean by risk? What is risk management? How to define the risk in simple words? And why we are here today to attend this session? Why we are learning risk management in the business? Because usually in the business, we focus on processes and operations, on revenue, income. So why we need risk management? Is it mandatory? Is it useful to us to understand and learn risk management? To answer this question, I will brief you about something in the management system in the organizations. But before going to the introduction, I would like to remind you about the agenda for today. So our plan today is to discuss many topics in relation to risk management. We'll define simply what do we mean by risk management, what are the main categories of complex risk, and what are the main strategies that usually need to be followed to manage complex risk. What do we mean by complex risk, and what are the types? Can we classify the risk in a simple way? And what are the methods to be followed, as I said, for risk mitigation? We will have as well a case study from real world example. Finally, we will have conclusion. And then, as I said, we will have a part for questions and answers. Let's say that for any organization, for any business, not only for organizations, even for individuals, we have businesses, we have projects. Usually we have establishment, we have companies. Any company will establish their business based on specific processes or specific guidelines like BDCA. So any management system will be based on the BDCA cycle. What is BDCA cycle? Plan, do, check, act. So usually if we need to, let's say if we need to establish our organization, our business, usually we start with the first stage with the planning. In the planning, we need to set our objectives. Why we are establishing our business? What is the goal? What are our vision and mission in our business? And then we have specific objectives and we need to achieve these objectives through our processes. That's why we will have like a policy, procedures, we will have an organization chart, for example, different departments, including maybe HR, operation, finance, IT. We have in the organization chart, we have clear line of communications, we have roles and responsibilities, we have job descriptions. Each individual, each staff will have specific roles and responsibility. But why? At the end of the day, we need to achieve these objectives. So we start with planning, then we start implementation. We start implementation of our processes, operation, finance, HR. Each department will practice their daily activities. But usually we will have some mistakes. We will have some errors. We will have some failure. That's why time to time we need to check, to review our management system, to monitor. That's why we need sometimes audit, for example, because we need to check whether we are on track or we have to do some improvement. Mostly 99% we need improvement. We have mistakes. There is no management system without failure. We will face some challenges. So that's why we need a response plan. We need to act. We need an action plan. Develop the action plan, for improvement, then to start planning again. Then it's like continual cycle, continual improvement. Leadership and commitment from the management team here is important by allocating the resources. But again, what is the aim? The aim is to achieve the organizational objectives. Okay. But most of the time, some objectives are not met. We are not able to achieve all our objectives. We are facing some challenges. Why? Because we have risks. So this is simply the definition of risk. When we are saying strategic risk or risk in general in the risk management approach, risk is any factor, any event, internal or external. Don't think that the problem is inside the organization only. No, maybe for external factors. So any factor, any event that prevent the organization from achieving their objectives or strategic goal, we here mean risk. We have risk. For example, any organization will have many competitors. Risk. We have fluctuation in the price and the market. Risk. We have sometimes problem in the supply chain. We are dealing with some suppliers because if you are manufacturing mobile phone, let's say, or any product, so I need raw material. If you need raw material, you need to deal with a supplier. But do you think that the supplier will provide you the material on time? This is the question. If not, risk. Am I dealing with one supplier or multi-suppliers? Because here we have risk. So any internal or external event that prevent the organization or individuals from achieving their goals or strategic objectives, this is the meaning of risk. Actually, there is some complexity in the complexity in classification of the risk, because sometimes if we need to classify the risk, we may say we have economic risk, geopolitical, legal risk, health and safety risk. But again, there are many links. This is the problem. in the risk management. There are many links between different types of risk. What we have to do, why we are learning risk management, because we need to understand, assess, and mitigate all these risks, all these factors. Why? Again, for the long-term success, for achieving the objectives. But what if we ignore, for example, the risk management? What may happen? So, poorly managed strategy risk can lead to major consequences, including financial losses, reduced sales, increased cost, decline in the revenue. As organization, you will lose your market position because you have many competitors. Your market share will be decreased. Reputation, this will cause as well damage to your reputation. Customer trust will have, you will face an issue with the public relations. We will have some issue with the operations as well, with the supply chain, for example, supply chain disruptions. You will face some, because, you know, we have something we call it legal risk. You have to comply with the international or national requirement or standards. And in case of non-compliance, you will face many penalties. You will face some sanctions, like fines, for example. Maybe business closure because of, as I said, non-compliance. So regulatory and legal challenges. Even inside the organization, you will face many issues, including the low morale. There will be decreased in the staff morale, and then you will suffer from staff turnover, so loss of talents and reduced productivity inside the organization. So finally, it may lead to the business failure or bankruptcy if there is poor management of strategy risk. That's why it's really crucial in the business to understand, assess, and mitigate or establish strategy for managing the risk. What are the main characteristics of complex risk? As I said, there is no clear probability and impact. When we are dealing with risk, remember these two words, probability and outcome. When we are saying probability, I mean here the likelihood, the chance. What is the chance that the supplier will not provide me the material on time? This is probability. And if the supplier didn't provide me the material on time, what is the outcome? What may happen? Maybe delay in the product, cancellation of the order. We don't know. So that's why the word risk is related to two things we call the probability or likelihood times consequences or impact. Once the probability and outcome is high or consequences is high, here we are saying the risk is high. So we have uncertainty. That's why we need proper analysis, like what we will see later on in our presentation. Risks are often linked together, causing cascading effects. So one, from economic, when we are understanding or studying or researching the economic risk, sometimes we need to move to legal risk. At the same time, we go to operational risk, credit. So there are many links between the risk. That's why, as I said, we have cascading effects. Remember one important thing as well, the risk is dynamic. Don't think that it's one-time process. No, it's continual process. It's continual process to for the risk management. Risk management not only one-time process, because the risk is dynamic and changing over the time because of, you know, due to the changing circumstances around the world. Finally, we can say as well, there is like a systematic impact. That means risk can affect entire business, entire economy or society. All of these things, all of these idea encourage us to understand and learn the risk management process. It's not easy to make simple categories for the risk, as I said, because there are many links between different types of risk. So this need time, need deep details. So I'll try as much as I can to make simple categorization for the complex risk with some examples. We have economic risk. When we are saying economic risk, that means the threats that can negatively impact the financial situation or the economy as well. We have like market risk, the prices as well. For example, the oil price around the world, it's up and down. There is a problem with the credit risk, the danger of borrowers defaulting on loans. They are not able to pay the loans. Also, rising prices will reduce the purchasing power. If there is a reduction in purchasing power, this will affect the business, the sales, the income, the revenue for the businesses. Also, we have an issue with interest rate risk. Changing the interest rate will affect the loans and investment for the business. Again, fluctuation in the exchange rates will impact as well the international trade. We have also political and regulatory risk. See, here we are talking about economic risk, but we are again talking about political, regulatory risk, because the government policies or instability as well will affect the economic conditions. This is what I'm saying. There are links between different categories of the risk. Economic downturns leads maybe to reduced demand and will increase the unemployment as well. So these are simple definition with some examples, with some cases for economic risk. When we are saying economic risk, remember the threats that negatively impact the financial situation of the financial economy. Geopolitical risk. Geopolitical risk, this is in reference to uncertainty and the threat arising from conflicts between nations, political conflicts, maybe military conflicts, war between nations or civil wars. This will disrupt the economy. Trade wars and sanctions, political instability, energy disputes, competition over oil or gas, water resources, conflicts in specific regions also will affect the supply chain. So this is also one category of the risk in terms of risk management process. We have also something we call environmental and climate change. Especially nowadays, some governments are enforcing strict environmental regulations. This will affect the business as well. Because in my management system, as organization, I need to understand exactly who are my stakeholders, who are my regulators, what are the regulatory body requirements. So maybe the government will issue some rules and I have to comply. There's no option. I have to comply with the environmental regulations. Otherwise, I will face some challenges in terms of fines or maybe sanctions. Extreme weather as well, hurricanes, floods, climate change, natural disasters, earthquake, volcanic eruptions, resources scarcity, including water, food, minerals. All of these lead to conflict and make disruption for the economy. So environmental and climate change. What else? We have technological risk. Actually, this is a crucial issue right now. In rapid technological revolutions, and technological risk are available around the world. You have, for example, so any risk or any threats coming from rapid development, maybe misuse or failure of technology will affect the business, the economy, and the society. Cybersecurity threat, hacking, data breaches, AI, the ethical concern in relation to AI, or job displacement, potential misuse of AI-driven systems, maybe the system failure in the organization's malfunctions, technological unemployment, automation replacing jobs, leading to workforce challenges, innovation as well, because rapid technological changes making businesses or products obsolete. And this is why we need to consider as well the technological risk. What else? We have as well public health risk. In addition to that, in addition to business risk, technological risk, sometimes we have something in relation to health and safety. So public health risk, like the good example here, what happened 5 years ago in relation to COVID-19. So pandemics or infection disease. So any threats that can negatively impact populations or healthcare systems, this is what we call public health risk. Like non-communicable disease as well, rising cases of heart disease, diabetes, cancer due to the lifestyle nowadays, failure in the healthcare system. We have here an important part as well in relation to mental crisis, including the stress in the workplace, depression, and anxiety. This will affect the productivity and well-being of staff, of the people. International Labor Organization set many rules in this regard as well to enforce the people inside the organizations to ensure that the well-being of staff and to consider the mental health for the people inside the organizations. So these are simple categorization, as I said, for the complex risk. Simple classification. We have, if we need to understand exactly more, this need more details, this need time, but again, I'm trying to, as much as I can, to classify the main categories of the risk in a changing world. Now, we understand that we have many risks. Some of these risks are coming from internal factors, some of these are coming from external factors. But finally, we need to establish strategies for managing this risk. We need processes for risk mitigation. So what are the main strategies that can be followed for managing the risk? Usually, first of all, the first step in the risk management process is to be able to identify the risk, including, as I said, the economic risk, geopolitical, legal risk, health and safety risk. You need to identify the risk. So the first step in the strategy that need to be built inside the organization for the risk management process is to have like stages or steps to identify the main risk inside the organization, coming from different factors, internal or external, coming from different department, from operation, from IT, from legal, maybe regulatory body. Once you identify the main risk, now it's the time to assess the risk. You need to assess the risk. You need to evaluate the risk. Because all of the risk will be changing depending on the probability, circumstances, and their impact as well. So that's why we have sometimes high risk, we have low risk, we have also maybe medium risk. So you should be able to assess the risk. There are many techniques that can be followed in this regard. Qualitative technique based on the expert approaches, for example, or maybe you need some numbers, statistics. So in this regard, you have to follow quantitative techniques. So simply, I will explain to you one method that can be used in this regard, which we call it SWOT analysis. SWOT analysis is a tool that can help the organizations to assess or evaluate their systems or their processes or maybe their risk as well. So we have SWOT, that means strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Strength and weaknesses, here we are talking about internal factors. Opportunities and threats, these are external factors. On the other hand, strength and opportunity, here we are positive things for the organizations. But, usually weaknesses and threats, these are negative points for the organization. So we need, for any organization, to conduct the SWOT analysis. So what are our strengths in this organization? Maybe we have a good location for the near to the transportation means. We have some innovative products or services. It's our strength. But on the other hand, if we have lack of marketing expertise, it's one of the weaknesses. Maybe if our location is far away from our customers, weaknesses, Opportunities, like for example, what about the partnership, joint ventures, moving into a new market segment, maybe opportunity, opening new branches, opportunities. Threats, like many competitors in the market. It could be we are depending only on one supplier. Threats. Because as I said at the beginning, we need the supplier to provide the material on time, the right material on the right time. So once you conduct your SWOT analysis, automatically you will be able to identify and assess your risk. Once you assess the risk, you need to prioritize the risk based on the urgency. You have to consider the high risk first, because as I said, we have high risk, we have medium risk, low risk, depending on circumstances and situations. So that's why you need to deal with them based on the priority. Once you have the risk now available, already you have like a list of the risk, you put them in order. The highest risk, it's coming first. You already assess the risk. Now it's the time to mitigate. You need to have control measures in place. You need risk response planning, because you need to reduce the risk rate. Can I eliminate the risk totally? Can I make the risk zero? If you need to make the risk zero, that means you have to cancel the activity or change the design, which is most of the time impossible to be achieved. That's why we have something we call it 4 T's in risk management: risk tolerance, risk treat, risk transfer, and risk termination. They call it like it's the same: avoid, transfer, mitigate, and accept. So risk avoidance, that means risk terminate. Termination of the risk most of the time is not possible, because you have, as I said, you have to cancel maybe the operation or change the total design. That's why I need another option, which is risk transfer. How to transfer the risk? Can I transfer the risk? Yes. For example, make a contract with insurance company. I will not undertake the risk. So insurance company will undertake the responsibility in case of any emergency. So risk transfer to outsourcing, signing contracts. So these are examples about the risk transfer. We have one option, we call it risk mitigation. Risk mitigation, that means risk treatment or risk reduction. Because I told you that the risk will depend on the likelihood, that means that chance, and the impact or consequences. So if you need to reduce the risk, you have to reduce that chance of occurrence or reduce the outcome that may happen if the risk occur, the consequences, the outcome, or if you can reduce both. So in this way, we are mitigating the risk. We are reducing the risk. So this is what we mean by risk mitigate or risk treatment. Finally, we can accept the risk. We will acknowledge the risk. Risk tolerate. If the risk will be under the organization tolerance, organization will understand, will acknowledge that there is a risk. But to reduce the risk or transfer it or avoid it, the cost will be high, higher than the outcomes, higher than the consequences that may come if the risk occur. So that's why organization in this way will accept the risk, will undertake the risk. So risk avoidance, risk transfer, risk mitigation, and risk acceptance or acknowledgement. These are the strategies or the four, we call it 4 T's in risk management process. Then, as I said, the risk is dynamic and need to be changed, and it will change over the time. We need monitoring, continual monitoring time to time. We need review time to time, because maybe today we have a risk, tomorrow is no longer risk, or there is a new risk which was not identified at the beginning or not available, not existed at the beginning. So that's why we need to review time to time and monitor and have an action plan in place and follow the systems that say that we need time all the time. We should have continual improvement, and then, as I said, again, once you start the review process, again, you have to go to the beginning, to the first step, to identify the risk, again, assess the risk, again, evaluate the risk, put the risk in priority based on the urgency, then put the response plan in place, including risk avoidance or risk transfer, risk mitigation or risk acceptance, then risk monitoring and review. If you have an action plan, you have to develop the action plan with the responsible team, with the deadlines, and it's continuous process. As I said, it's not only one-time process. We cannot say that I will bring some experts to conduct the risk management process, then it's all for one time, then that's all I'm controlling or managing this. That's not the case. So this is the type of risk decisions: avoidance, transfer, mitigation, or acceptance. There is something which is, please help if there is difference in avoidance and mitigation. Avoidance, that means there is no risk. I will cancel. For example, I'm driving the car. Okay, there is a risk of collision between my vehicle and the other vehicles. I'm talking about health and safety risk. How to avoid the risk? Don't drive the car. It's not possible. It's not. I need to drive the car. There is no option. I need the car. So what is the other option? Mitigate. Like you have to attend the training about how to drive the car safely. You need to conduct maintenance for your car, for example, time to time. So this is risk mitigation. But risk avoidance, that means I will not drive the car to avoid the risk of collision. There is one tool which is useful for the organizations, which is ISO 31000, published in 2018, international standard. International standard for risk management process. This international standards provide, it's like a framework or guidance to help the organization to implement the risk management process or to integrate the risk management process into the other processes inside the organization. So it's similar to what we already mentioned. The risk management process, starting with the first step. The first step, you should understand why you are conducting the business, why you have a project, because I have some objectives. I have some goals to be achieved. I have an aim to be achieved at the end of the day. To achieve the aim, you need to mitigate the risk. You need to have risk assessment process in place, including risk identification. Then you have to analyze, evaluate the risk, put the risk in order, the highest risk first. Then you have to treat the risk, avoidance or mitigation or risk transfer. Time to time, you need monitoring process and review, communication and consultation between you and your team inside the organization. You should, because here ISO 31000 guidance or framework, it's inclusive. One of the principles here for the risk management process that it's inclusive. You should engage your stakeholders, including the employees, the customers, the regulatory bodies. The risk or the process itself, it's dynamic, changing over the time. That's why you need monitoring and review, frequent review. You should have best available information and data inside your organization, because this will help you to make informed decision. You should understand that how to ensure that the staff inside the organization are aware of these risks. So this will depend on the culture inside the organization. It's continual improvement process, it's guidance or framework. And the final stage here, it's continual improvement. It's integrated. You should have in ISO 31000, published in 2018, international standard or framework, help the organization to integrate the risk management process into the other business or the other processes inside the organization. Remember, this process cannot be achieved without leadership and commitment, because leaders usually they are setting the tone at the top of the organization. They are setting the objectives. They are setting the direction, the vision and mission of the organization, and they are allocating the resources. So that's why they should have like commitment from the leaders. You start usually with the design stage or planning. After the planning, you need implementation. When you start conducting the business or conducting the processes or the activities or the operations inside your organization, you will find many mistakes. That's why you need to evaluate where are we right now? What is our level and what is the next step? What is our aim or the objective? That's why we need to have an action plan for improvement. So ISO 31000, it's very helpful framework to help the organization, as I said, to its guidance, how to implement the risk management process into or inside the organization. So quickly, let's have like the case study, like what happened last 4 or 5 years. COVID-19 pandemic impact, there are many impacts. I remember at that time, in 2020, I was working in a training center. And usually in our training center at that time, we had like physical classes. We didn't have like online training at that time. All our classes are physical, face to face. So the pandemic started at that time. Then what to do? Close the business, stop the work. Sit at home. Okay. Then We need solution. It can lead to bankruptcy, of the organization, business closure. Then our management start thinking about online training, moving to online training. But this change, it's not easy, it's complicated, because the staff already, they are used to doing or conducting physical classes, face-to-face classes. Now we have to provide them to conduct training for them to learn, to teach them how to conduct the online, So that's why if you don't think that the risk all the time will giving negative impact. Now, it can be converted to opportunities. Like COVID-19, for the hardest hit, travel and tourism, revenue drops, entertainment, movie theaters and events canceled already. It's tough time. But there are many winners on the other hand. Technology and remote work, Zoom, Microsoft Teams. Because, as I said, with me and my team at that time, 2020, we moved immediately to online training. We started working on Zoom. We started working on Microsoft Teams and start conducting online training. Healthcare, vaccine makers, they are winners. So COVID-19 pandemic impact is a good example of the risk that can destroy the business totally, entirely. Supply chain breakdown, lockdown restrictions, cash flow crisis, bankruptcy, job losses, remote work, revolution, digital transformation. So imagine that you are working in an X organization. So are you ready to such situation or such cases or such emergencies? What is the solution? In this regard, you should be prepared. You should be prepared. Organizations should start building resilience. Resilience building include BCP, business continuity planning. You need recovery strategies. There is a COVID. Okay, we have recovery strategy. We have already plan in place. We have emergency contingency plan. And this plan is tested and maintained and ready to be implemented. Once the COVID started, immediately the second day, we moved to the online training. We are ready. We have contingency plan in place. But to achieve this, remember, you need leadership and commitment. You need the decision makers to be aware that this is important. This is crucial process that need to be implemented in the place. So they should allocate the resources. They should conduct or provide the training and awareness for the staff, for the employees. Each staff inside the organization should understand exactly what is their role in managing the risk and treating the risk. That's why they should be aware. Your stakeholders, including customers, for example, how many times have you consulted your customers to conduct like a seminar with them or meeting with them, to listen to them, to understand exactly what they are thinking about? What is your customer approach towards your activity or towards your business engagement, stakeholder engagement to make informed decision at the end of the day? At the end of the day, I need again to achieve the objectives of my business. Okay. We almost reached the end. So successfully navigating complex risk require proactive approach. Proactive, not reactive. What we already did what we already done in 2020 in our training center, it was a reactive approach. So after the pandemic, after COVID-19, we start looking for solutions. We start looking for alternative options, but you should keep in your mind some contingency plan. You need proactive approach. You need to integrate the risk management processes into the business, the total business. You should have strategies for resilience and continuous learning inside the organization. So the last statement, organizations and individuals must embrace adaptability, and innovation to thrive in a changing world. This is the end for the session for today. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you got the benefits. I hope it was informative for you. It's the time for questions. Please drop your questions in the chat. If you have any doubt, any comment for the topic, please let me know. I think the recording will be available, will be shared with you. Edubex team will share the recording to you. Okay, questions? The slides, no problem. Actually, usually the training material cannot be shared, but we'll send you the slides, no problem. Certificate of attendance, this will be discussed with the Edubex team. Maybe I know if Renu is still available with us. She will answer your question right now regarding the certificate. What else? Very informative lesson. Much appreciate the excellent presentation. Please do share the notes. Okay, we'll send you the presentation, no problem. The lesson was worth it. Is there the certificate? I think this will be answered by the Edubex team regarding the certificate and our certificate of participation. A textbook to read further, yes, we can send you, maybe, I don't know, we'll check with the Edubex team if we can send handbooks or let's say handouts, some handouts to help you, or textbook. How can I start business? You can start business by going back to the first slide. If you need to start your business, look at this slide. Plan, do, check, act. So any management system for any business will be based on this cycle. So start with the planning. What is your objectives? What is your goal, aim, and how to achieve these goals? What are the requirements for achievement of these objectives, and how to implement the processes, how to monitor and review, and if there are mistakes or errors, how to react. What is your response plan? Would you elaborate more on proactive and reactive approach? Proactive, that means something before the problem happening. For example, before COVID, if there is a training center already ready for online training, already preparing the staff on Zoom, conducting training for the staff, how to use Microsoft Teams, for example, they have contingency plan in place. This is proactive approach. But reactive, after COVID, the organization stop. What is the solution? We need now a solution. This solution, this approach, we call reactive approach after the problem. Steps on integrating risk management in processes. To integrate risk management into processes, you have to follow the ISO 31000. So I encourage you, please, to read. I think it's available on the website. And if you search in Google for ISO 31000, 2018, you will find the specific detailed criteria for the international standards on how to implement, how to integrate risk management into process. That means the risk management process, it's a core in the core operation for the business. Once you are trying to make any decisions, this is for leaders and managers, and even also for the other staff, other middle managers or supervisors, or maybe employees as well. If each one will understand his responsibility in terms of the risk management process, what is my role for managing or mitigating the risk? This is how to integrate. Simply, in simple words, we need to understand how to integrate the risk management process into the other processes, other management system in the organization. You need for each staff to understand exactly what is his role in mitigating the risk. We need from leaders and managers, once they are trying to making decisions, they should understand exactly to consider the risk management process. Slides, I think slide will be sent. No problem, we can send a slide. Risk matrix. Risk matrix, actually, I'll explain you quickly. Risk matrix, we have like here likelihood or probability, and here we have consequences and impact. We are giving like sometimes numbers if we have quantitative technique. Actually, sorry, there are many details in this regard, but because of the time constraint, we cannot explain everything. For the likelihood as well, we have like number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have like a grid. Okay. So from 1 to 5, we have, this is how to rate the consequences. 5 is the highest consequences, the major consequences. From 1 to 5, if we have, for example, here 5, that is almost certainly, almost 100% the risk will occur. Then we need to multiply the likelihood times consequences. So we will have like numbers here, starting from 1 up to 25. The most critical situation is here. If the risk is 25, that means this is high risk. Again, these are quantitative by using numbers. There are other qualitative technique. We can mention only high risk, low risk, medium risk. So this is what create the risk matrix. This is simply what is the meaning of risk matrix. So this grid explains the risk matrix. For further reading, in coordination with the Edubex team, we will send you some supportive documents that can help you for or to read more in this regard. Inside the organization, there are many other process or many processes. Like we need risk register to include in the risk register all the risk, including legal risk, business risk, economic risk, health and safety risk, and it's supposed to be reviewed time to time. For some types of risk, we need control measures, we need preventive measures as well. If the risk is mitigated, but it's still high risk, we need further risk control measures. So this is what we call risk assessment. So risk assessment is the process of evaluation of the whole events or factors inside the organization to identify the risk and who might be affected. Then, what are the control measures that need to be implemented to mitigate the risk to the acceptable level? If we apply some control measures and we reduce the level to the risk and still the risk is high, we need further control measures to reach the acceptable level. What is the next lesson? I don't know. This will be in coordination with the Edubex team. Does your course include the implementation safety management system? Safety management system, including the ISO 45001. This is that is another topic: occupational health and safety. Occupational health and safety management system. There are some link between the risk management and the occupational health and safety, because when we are talking about the risk management, the categories of the risk, there is one category from the risk, which is health and safety risk. And then we are dealing with health and safety risk separately in terms of safety management system. And by utilization, the guidance or framework of 35001. Because as I said, ISO 31000, this is related to risk management process, but ISO 45001 is related to the safety management system. There are some risks we must tolerate to continue business operation, but how does one determine risk tolerance? Risk tolerance level will depend on the nature of the activity inside the organization. Okay, depending on the level of the risk, depending on the nature itself of the risk, depending on the number of people at risk. At that time, we can decide whether we can tolerate or not. Risk equal likelihood times consequences. This is the matrix, which will explain again. One common safest way to transfer the risk to insurance. Insurance. One of the methods that can be used. It's always advisable to communicate the finding of risk assessment to stakeholders. Is exactly, especially not all stakeholders. It depends. For example, for risk management process, once I'm identifying the risk and making the control measure in place, I need to communicate to my staff, my employee as stakeholder. Sometimes I need to discuss with our customer because maybe the product itself may carry some risk. That's why I need to communicate this to my stakeholders. Short courses, 6 months. This will be answered by Edubex team, they have long courses, not short courses. Short course, it will come 1 day, 2 days, 5 days, but 6 months it will be a long course. Thank you for your time. I hope you enjoyed the lesson. See you again. All the best. For any further queries, please fill the form. There's a form already shared in the chat through Edubex team. If you have more questions, you can. I will make you the host. I think now it's available for you, Edubex team. Ms. Reno.
Hello, everyone. This is Bedi here. Thank you, Hekmat, for your wonderful session. And I hope it has been a very interactive session. Ms. Renu has just stepped out. Thank you, Hekmat, for your wonderful session. I think I can see a lot of questions, including textbooks, certifications, short courses. It has been very wonderful. I mean, I think a lot of questions means there is a curiosity for our learners who would like to attend Mr. Hekmat's programs. So we would like to welcome him back very soon. I hope. I think it's bet. That's why I was sending you the messages in between, so that if you have any questions in relation to the programs or in relation to the risk management issues that you face in your daily career, we'll be glad to help you. So please fill in the form, and then one of our academic counselors will get back to you duly. So once again, thank you all.
Please send me the questions once you collect the questions from the participants. You can send to me and can try to answer this question, and then you can send them again.
Yeah, that's a good idea. We'll do that. All right. Okay. Thank you all, and have a nice day. And thanks again, Hekmat. Have a nice day.
All the best. Thank you. See you.
Bye-bye.